Alright, today we're going to talk about how to successfully turn a flat shape into a three-dimensional form by using value. So what you see in front of you is the same worksheet that you have. It's got a picture of a circle, and I'm going to show you some techniques today on how to make it look round, okay, or 3D. But before we do that, what you want to also notice is that there are actual parts of the sphere that I'm going to want you to label. So let's go right around and label those right now. The first thing we have up in the top left-hand corner is light source. Your light source does not always have to be from the top left-hand corner, but for this particular practice, we're going to make it in the top left-hand corner. So what is the light source? The definition is where light comes from. Some examples: the sun, a candle, a lamp, and I'm sure you can think of some others, but those are the basics. So in our example, the light source is coming from the top left. The first part of your sphere or object that gets light is called the highlight. The highlight is defined as the brightest spot on an object. The brightest spot on an object is your highlight. It's usually the whitest area if you were doing a gray tone, which we're going to do right now when we make our sphere. It's going to be a gray tone. Alright, the darkest area, that is your shadow. The shadow is the darkest area on an object. That is the definition, so please write darkest area on an object. Why is it the darkest area? Because it's the furthest away from the light source. Then you've got an area here which isn't quite the lightest, isn't quite the darkest, right in the middle. It's called the midtone. It's your medium shade. Then you've got an area down below the sphere, and something happens when light travels in a straight line from the light source. It bounces off the table or whatever the object is resting on, and it actually bounces back up, and that's where you get your reflection. So the reflection is simply defined as bouncing light. The definition of reflection is bouncing light. The reflection is not nearly as bright as the highlight. Alright, and there's one last area way over there. And that is an area of darkness that happens because the object is blocking the light source. The light tries to travel in a straight line, object blocks it, and actually what happens is it casts a shadow. So this is your cast shadow. The cast shadow is simply defined as area of darkness behind an object. Now it's one thing to know all these things, but it's another thing to actually draw them. So now this exercise is going to show you how to effectively draw each one of these things. For me, I always start with the darkest area because I feel like it's easier to press down hard to start. So it's almost like I'm outlining the edge with very firm pressure. I'm pressing down very hard. Can you also notice how I'm always using the curvature of the circle to help me form my lines? So I'm never going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, because then it wouldn't look rounded. I'm picking 2 points, so pick a point here and a point right here, and your curvature always starts and finishes there. So my curvature always going to go to here, and it's going to curve back, and it's going to go to here. But something's starting to happen. My curved lines are getting smaller and straighter and lighter. So you have to really focus on what you're trying to do here. You're trying to make the sphere get lighter as it gets towards the light source. And my lines are starting to get more straight up and down. I get right to the middle part, and now all of a sudden I can start to curve the lines the other way. So it would look like this. They start out straight at first, then they start to curve, but they also get lighter. You don't have to use a lot of pressure now. Not nearly as firm as you were when you were doing the shadow and the midtone. And now we're past the midtone. We're heading towards the highlight. My lines are starting to get more curvy. They're getting lighter still. And now we start to blend. We want to gradually go from dark to light. The way we do this is we use circular blending motion. We want to try to get rid of the lines. The idea is we don't want the person viewing this to see all that line work. We want it to look smooth. And now I'm going to go into, for more specifics, I'm actually going to start to erase out the highlights. So you take your eraser and you think about, this is the lightest area on the sphere. It should be bright. It should be lighter than anything else on the entire sphere. And it should gradually start to get dark again. So I'm lightening up my pressure on my eraser. So I press down really hard here, and I start to get lighter and lighter and lighter, because I'm trying to make it look round. Circles are getting bigger and bigger, but they're getting lighter and lighter too. We're trying to create the illusion of 3D using value. That is what volumetric perspective is all about. The illusion of 3D by using value. Alright, a few more things left. Talking about your reflection, there should be a little area of lightness around here. It should not nearly be as bright as your highlight. It's just a little lighter than normal. Just to show that light has bounced up off of the table or whatever this object is resting on, and it bounces back up underneath. And now you want to show that this thing is resting on something. It's resting on a table, it's resting on the floor. You're going to draw a cast shadow. The cast shadow is simply an area of darkness behind the object. Maybe a little bit in front of the object too. Just shows that it's not just this ball floating out in outer space. It's actually resting on something. And that is your shaded sphere. You need to do 3 of those for your homework, either using pencil, colored pencil, and also think about how you can change up the light source. If the light was coming from the top or coming from the right, how would that change where everything else would be? Thanks for watching.